Have you ever encountered a hurdle with launching or growing your business? Listen, there are two things that run a business, the back end and your soft skills.
Telling you right now, if these aren't in place, you'll lose clients and you'll lose money. You don't want that? Well, you're in the right place.
Hey, I'm Dana.
Hey, I'm Sarah.
We're your hosts of the Entrepreneur Encounter, and we're going to give you a behind-the-scenes glance into our businesses, give you genuine feedback, tips and tricks, plus occasionally bring on guests that care about supporting you to grow your business organically and nurturing authentic relationships. Are you ready? Welcome back, listeners. We are excited about this episode because today we have our second guest, Joyce. I'm going to let her kind of explain or dive deep into who she is on her own, but she is the owner of two businesses, Parish Decluttering Services and Heavenly Bodies Wellness. Joyce, do you want to share a little bit about those two businesses and dive into what inspired them?
Sure. I teach individuals how to maximize their health for a better quality of life holistically through my products and my services, speaking and teaching. So the Heavenly Body Wellness is skincare products. They're organic skincare products that I formulate. I got certified to do so in 2017. Also on that website, you'll find some crystals. I have shungite for shielding against the electromagnetic field. It also purifies water. We've gotten reports from people saying that it's relieved their pain. So you'll find that on there. Also some like metaphysical things like pendulums and pendulum mats. And then the Parish Decluttering Services. I'm in Louisiana. So we don't have counties like other states do. We have parishes still. So that covers 3 parishes in the Louisiana area. And that came about when I was doing some research and I realized how much clutter actually affects us in a negative way. I mean, it not just affects our mental health. You know, we were talking about working from home and having distractions. Clutter can be a distraction. It can stifle your productivity and creativity. And then you get to the physical health aspect of it. You get dust because this clutter is sitting around, which isn't good for your health. Depending upon how much clutter you have, it could also be a fire hazard or a tripping hazard. So you have that. And then financially, if you can't find a bill, then you're going to land up paying a late charge because you didn't know where it was, and then it's going to be late. Yeah, if your kitchen is cluttered, you might land up spending more money going out to eat because you can't properly prepare food. So when I found all these things out, I was just like, wow, this is really an issue. And I'm a Virgo, so I'm very anal about everything has to have a place. You put it back right where you found it, so that I always know where stuff is. And it has to make sense.
I want to pause you. I've never felt more validated in a statement because I'm also a Virgo. And if anything pisses me off more is not having things put back in the places I said they should go. Like, I feel like my home is gaslighting me because I'm like, I put this here. I know I did. Why is it not there? What's going on?
But we are like that. Virgos are like that. And my daughter's always telling me, Mom, you're such a Virgo. Because even the labels for my products, they are stacked in a certain way. She's like, oh my gosh, you organized your labels. And I'm like, well, yeah, because it's according to which ones I use the most. So the ones I use the most, it's only logical that they be on the top of the pile. The ones I don't use so much are on the bottom, right? Doesn't that make sense? So when I talk about organizing to make sense, that's something to me that makes sense. Or I get ready for my day in the bathroom, so everything that I need is in the bathroom. I wouldn't stick my deodorant on my nightstand because that doesn't make sense to me. Why am I putting it over there? I don't get running in the morning over there. So it's just stuff like that. That's why I always say it needs to make sense when you're organizing. So Dana, you had mentioned you wanted to know how I got started with this.
Mm-hmm.
It was back in 2008. My husband became sick. He's a truck driver. He was then, he is now. He was told by a doctor he had recurring mono and that he needed to come off the road for a month until he got better. Needless to say, he was not getting better. He was getting worse. Another trip to the doctor said he had chronic fatigue syndrome. At this point, he was sleeping 16 hours a day. So now it's been 6 months. He's still sick, not getting any better. Is told by the doctor that he might as well file for disability because he's never going to work again. On a fluke one night, he was watching TV, a talk show came on, and this gentleman was talking about how he had mercury poisoning, which was because he ate sushi for 20 years.
Oh.
When he started talking about his symptoms, my husband went, that's me. So he started looking into where he could have gotten the mercury from. And one thing that came up was tuna, because at that time he was over the road truck driver and would bring food with him. So he was eating tuna like once or twice a week. And tuna is high in mercury. But then I don't know what it was. For some reason, that didn't satisfy him. And he kept doing more research. And that led to the amalgam fillings in his teeth, the silver ones. They're 50% mercury. And they still are. He had 10 of them in his mouth. Anytime that you eat, you know how like the eraser flakes off the pencil?
Yeah.
Well, that's what the mercury does. Every time you eat, it rubs and it flakes off. So you're ingesting that. Also, anytime you eat or drink anything hot, like soup or coffee or tea or like that, the vapors are coming off the tooth. So you're ingesting that. So he went to the doctor and he told him that he believed he had mercury poisoning. The doctor literally laughed at him. He had a childhood friend who owned a health store. He went to her and she put him on a protocol. He started detoxing with the foot bath ionizer, which removes heavy metals. Then he was taking Broken Chlorella and vitamin C, vitamin D is what he was doing. And he was slowly getting better. Then she had told him about a dentist where he could have the fillings safely removed. So he went and he had that done. Again, his health, he's getting better, especially after he had the fillings out. So while he was doing his research, he had found out that the American Dental Association had a gag order on dentists where they could not tell their patients that the silver fillings, the amalgam ones, were toxic or they could lose their license. So once we found that out, we were just like, what else aren't they telling us? What else don't we know? And that was when Pandora's box just flew open and we found out how toxic our world really is. And we just said, you know what? If we're going to be healthy, we're going to have to take care of ourselves. So we switched all our food to organic, all of our cleaning pot products are all green. I had found out that the beauty care industry is very loosely regulated and thought to myself, if this is true, everything that's being said, then I can't trust any packaging because they don't have to put all the ingredients on there because it's a formula.
Mm-hmm.
So I went, who can I trust but myself? By now, this is about 2010. I started researching herbs and started formulating. And I was just doing it for myself. I didn't even mean for it to become a business. That happened because other people were using the products. And because my husband is a truck driver, he would go to this one gas station all the time. I had made a salve, and the woman in there had that skin psoriasis.
Mm-hmm.
She had that issue, and she was complaining about it. My husband gave her some of the salve and said, here, try this. The next time he went back in there, she says, oh my gosh, where did you get that? I want some.
That's the best marketing right there.
Yeah. But then he would come home and be like, somebody else wants some, because she would be talking to the people, the customers that came in. And he'd just was coming home, throwing money at me, going, another one, another one, another one. So I went, well, obviously I have something here.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Heavenly Bodies Wellness was born.
So for our listeners that are on the either in the side hustle phase where they're just kind of seeing if it'll work, or they're looking to organize their business to help it grow, what actionable tips do you have for someone like them and honestly ourselves for developing stronger organizational habits?
That's a really good question, because with some people, it's easier for them to develop organizational habits. A habit, of course, is something that we do on a regular basis. I have my habits in the morning. I brush my teeth. So it's a matter of being aware of what you're doing and wanting to have things in order, have things organized. The first thing I would say is when it comes to business, make sure you have a way to organize your paperwork. That's like really important, especially when it comes to tax time, because if it's not organized, you are going to be just scattered. And there's multiple ways you can do it. I mean, we have 2 filing cabinets, but you don't have to get it, especially if you're just starting out. You get one of those accordion folders where that has multiple pockets in there so you can sort stuff. And anything that you buy you're used for your business, make sure you keep all those receipts because you're going to want them.
That's what happened like for last year. Last year was my first year making sure that I had everything set up for all my taxes and stuff. And even though I didn't really buy that much of anything last year because everything I have is all digital, I'm not really I'm paying so much. But I bought papers and notebooks and stuff, but I didn't think to keep those receipts. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should have kept those because in my mind, it didn't really matter because I'm just buying a notebook and paper. But just to be able to keep those receipts, even if it's like in your email or in a folder, there's a couple of receipts I lost from last year. And I knew that if I had those receipts, I probably could have used those as like a write-off for the like supplies and stuff like that.
Right.
So definitely I would recommend anybody to make sure that you organize and make sure you keep all that stuff tracked.
Well, I'm going to be transparent here and totally admit that I had the same issue when I first started my business because I wasn't used to keeping receipts. And another thing that my husband taught me was like if we went to a store and we were buying items for the household and then items for the business, we would separate those items. We would pay separately for the items. But yeah, it takes a while to get in that mindset that I've got to keep this. And even like just yesterday, I went to women's professional networking event. And she asked me if I wanted a receipt. And at first I was going to say no. And I went, wait a minute, this is business. So I was like, yeah, send me his receipt. So even you do stuff like that, anything you do for business. If you're going to get your hair done for a business event, get a receipt. Anything that relates to your business. You're getting a pedicure because of business, get a receipt. If you're getting a new outfit for an event, that's something else that you could use too. I found all this out later. I mean, I've been in business since 2014, and just within the past 3 years, all this other stuff has come up. And I'm like, really? I can do that? That's so cool.
Yeah, speaking of like the papers and organization and stuff like that, I read your blog on keeping binders and keeping everything organized and keeping everything separate. I am very notorious. I have probably 5 notebooks on my desk right now because I like to write. I like to have a notebook for each client, what I'm working on, everything has its place. Obviously, people are just like, why would you have you have your Google Docs. Yeah, I have folders that are geared towards that specific thing, but that really just caught my attention because I know that I need to be more organized with my papers because I keep losing them. So reading that blog and knowing we're talking about this is making me want to go buy those little tabs that you insert into binders to organize everything like you're in school.
I was just going to ask you if you had a way of organizing them.
Since they're all right now, they're notebooks. So I have a title of what it's for on the notebook and they're just stacked on my desk. So I don't really have anywhere to put them. I don't have a shelf in my office to where I can put them in order. But I have one of those, it's a 2-inch binder. And I want to put the tabs in there to start organizing them better.
If you don't have a shelf, containers are awesome. I love containers. I do.
I have so many around the house. There's a lot in the kids' room. And then they end up throwing everything in there and it can be a mess.
So my husband, I don't do notebooks. I do big, giant Post-it notes that will adorn the walls of my bedroom/office when I have when I'm overwhelmed and I really just need to get it out of my head. So to combat that, my husband came home yesterday with this big, giant whiteboard that I haven't even found a place to put yet, that I'm so excited. And then I take that and move it in the online space of the Google Docs or my ClickUp or wherever it is that it best fits for me to make it actionable and not necessarily just a random pipe dream of a goal, if that matters.
I want to make a suggestion. Oh, well, actually, I have 2.
Share all of them.
You know what you might consider is putting that whiteboard on a closet door, put it on the inside. Because then this way you can have the door open when you need to utilize it. And when you don't, you can go ahead and close it so it keeps things looking neat.
Yes.
So
I like that.
That's an option.
Then I won't be messing up my wall with giant holes to drill it in, which my husband will appreciate.
Well, see, there you go. The other thing I want to say about storing documents on electronic devices, if you are going to do that, get a USB stick and every month or so, go ahead and download those files onto that stick. because as we know, technology is not perfect.
Yeah.
It would really suck if something happened and you lost all those files. And personally, because I'm Generation X, it's like everything that I do, I still keep a checkbook. I pay with checks. I don't let them take anything out of my account. So everything that I'm doing is before electronics existed. And you know what? I like it because to me, I feel like I have more control. By putting things on electronics, I just feel like letting myself be susceptible to whatever happens, whether it be somebody hacking me or just a device just given out. And then, you're screwed. I've seen my daughter go through it. Get a checkbook.
So is that one of your strategies to remove distractions and to stay focused is by removing it from the online space?
I don't think it's a distraction. I just think it's a better way because we were talking about keeping documents and papers and Google Docs came up. When it comes to distractions, if you have a monkey brain, your brain is just chattering and you can't think. Dana, you had made mention that you just go ahead and randomly write stuff down just to get it out of your head, which I think it is an excellent strategy so that you get all those distractions out of your head, write it all down, and then you can work without that monkey brain going and going and going. Sitting there going, toot, 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 toot. Stop.
I think that's why, I kid you not, I carry a notebook with me everywhere. Just because I always feel like in the most random spots, not in my office, but like outside, or if I'm waiting in the car line to pick up my kids, I have my notebook with me. So when those thoughts come, I just write it down. You know what I mean? Like it's obviously people are like, you can bring out your phone and go into the notes app. No, I personally like to have a notebook on me at all times.
Understandable. I think that's awesome. I did a whole lot more blogging back in the day. Like you, I would be out somewhere and a title would come into my head or a topic would come. And it had this piece of paper that I was randomly writing down stuff on, either titles or a topic.
Yeah.
So I get it. It's whatever works, And the other thing that to limit distractions is, again, let's go back to the clutter. Clutter is a big distraction because you're sitting there looking at it. Oh man, I really need to clean that up. But you're not supposed to be thinking about that right now. You're supposed to be working. So
let's focus on that part. When you help your clients or your audience remove clutter, how do you prioritize which areas to clean first or to declutter? Like, what does that process look like?
Well, usually I'll give tips on my Facebook page every day. So like today's tip was, buy electronics and sometimes you go ahead and you keep the box. Because just in case something happens, you have to send it back. They want the actual box. Well, we keep ours in a closet that's in the back room. And in that closet, we don't go into all the time. So every once in a while, I'll go in there and I'll see these boxes. And I didn't think about it last time I did it. And I'll end up throwing one away that we were supposed to keep forever. So sometimes being anal about decluttering and organizing isn't necessarily a good thing. But my husband was not happy with me. I'm creating a card deck for decluttering and organizing to where people just randomly pull a card. Each room is a different color and each color has a meaning. Like the bathroom is blue and the blue is calming. The bedroom is gray, that's relaxing. So like people could just pull a card. But when I'm guiding people to, usually it's like they will tell me what they need help with. They'll have something specific. But with giving tips, I'm trying to make it as stressless as possible because I realized that some people aren't like me, where they just can't go ahead, open up the closet door, take everything out of the closet, clean the closet, and then reorganize it. Some people are just, hell no, I'm not doing that. And somebody listening to this podcast is going to be saying the same thing. Hell no, I'm not doing that. So instead of it being so overwhelming, let's just take a section. So let's just work on that shelf, just that one shelf, nothing else. Forget about everything else. Or let's just work on the closet floor. So give simple tips. But I belong to a group that we meet on Wednesday nights called Meet Cool People. And it's just a bunch of us that hang out together. And it's a small group, so it's really cool. And all of us are entrepreneurs. And when you're an entrepreneur, you're kind of like by yourself. Anyway, we bounce ideas. So I needed some help with something. So I asked them, and they give me ideas of what I can do. One girl that's on there, I was telling her about the cards. And like one of them is like, remove everything off your nightstand and then clean it and then decide what really needs to be there and put the other stuff away or find a place that makes sense for it. She goes, hell no, I ain't doing that. I just went, whoa. I'm like, really? I'm like, you wouldn't do that? She's like, no. So I'm thinking maybe I need to create some other decks too, to where it's like, just remove the garbage off of your nightstand or remove the stuff that doesn't belong on your nightstand. Because I thought I was making it very easy. But of course, I don't know what other people's nightstands look like. Again, I'm a Virgo. There's nothing on mine.
I have a bottle of water.
Yeah.
As I was just looking at mine, I was like, what do I have? I have a cup of water and lotion because that's usually when I finally remember to put lotion on pants.
Whatever works for you. But I know there are some people that might have a whole lot of stuff on it, and that might be overwhelming for them. So maybe creating another card. There's got to be in steps because a lot of people just get so overwhelmed with clutter. I was showing my daughter my deck, and there's other decks out there, and I've looked at them and compared them. And we compared it together, and she was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. But she likes my deck. She didn't like any of the other decks. She's like, I want your deck. So it's got to be baby steps. You know, if you're easily overwhelmed, or you can even pick a room that you know needs tending to and go to that one space that has to be tended to. Instead of working on the whole room, let's take it and break it down so that it's not so overwhelming.
And I think that goes along hand in hand with owning your business, being an entrepreneur, because sometimes we get so overwhelmed with the ideas that we have or the projects that we're working on or the amount of clients that we have. And we're trying to figure out, okay, like what goes first? What should I do first versus what can wait until tomorrow? And we have talked about time management because time management and organization goes hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that you have something that's due tomorrow. You're going to have to do that first and not do something that's not due until next week. So that kind of like, to me, you're going room by room, you know, doing your work. It's going by like project, by client, by whatever that you're working on and whatever. If it's overwhelming, try to get that done first. Would you agree? Try to get that out of the way, you know?
Yeah, but see, on the other hand, there's some people who they'll procrastinate. One issue that I have, because everything has to have a place and I do not like clutter, where if there is an area of the home that is cluttered, I'll put off cleaning that area because it's not my stuff. Because I don't want to have to take the stuff and put all this stuff away before I clean. So I'll just procrastinate and just be like, well, you know, I'll do it another time. So it's like right now, our bedroom, our living room, the most cluttered space in our house is our kitchen because that's where we work. And I make jewelry, so I have jewelry supplies sitting on the table. And
so you really have 3 businesses? That's what I'm hearing.
No, but the Heavenly Bodies Wellness, that's my jewelry's incorporated into there. And everything I do is with crystals.
Okay.
And that's not on my website because I try to do one-of-a-kind pieces and I sell at events. So it's like if I take all that time to go ahead and describe it, put it up on my website, I have an event this weekend and it's sold, then all my work is gone. So I don't put the jewelry. I've got like the shungite bracelets, necklaces are up there because a lot of that I don't do one-of-a-kind pieces. Of the diffuser bracelets, I'm putting up some chakra bracelets. I try to keep my space clutter-free, but it doesn't work when you live with somebody who's not so conscious about it.
Oh, you know, like living at home with, you know, having small kids. It's, you know, that's exactly the same thing. I'm telling you, it's so funny because one day I went into the room and I took my time. I took a day. I went in there. I bought them like this huge shelf to organize everything, organize all the boxes. I wanted to organize the room because I was getting frustrated because I couldn't find anything. And they kept getting to me about, well, I can't find this. I can't find that. So obviously I spent a whole day organizing and then the next day I refused to go back in there.
I literally had like a mommy breakdown yesterday with my kids. I was like, y'all walk around like you can't find anything, but I have done everything except put labels on these bins. All you have to do is open them up and you'll see what it is. I'm about to do labels. That's my next. Can't make it any more simple than that. It's fine.
You can do labels. I don't know how old your kids are. If they can't read, you could put a picture.
I have 5 children, and they range from 10 all the way to 3.
So the 3-year-old can't read. So for him, about what do you
No, well, she's the type that she drops it when she's done with it and just moses on somewhere else. Like you can follow her brain map of a trail of, oh, she's playing with this, and then she found something else. And then she found something else. And then she wanted a snack, and she was done with that. So it dropped on the floor.
I got started in this because I'm originally from Chicago. And when we lived there, we had basically a 2-bedroom apartment. The thing is that there were 6 people living in this small space. There's 4 kids. So decluttering and organizing was like an ongoing thing with me, especially like we're talking about the toys. I used to tell my daughter that everything has a place. When you're done playing with something, go ahead and put it back right away so you don't have a big mess to clean up. Well, you guys might think I'm a bad mom for doing this, but there were times where she made a huge mess and I told her to clean it up and she didn't want to. I said, look, if you don't start cleaning this up, I'm taking it all away from you. And I did. There was a couple of times I put everything in the bag and I just took it away.
Oh, no. I literally said that yesterday.
I did it.
Because I'm embracing minimalism on my personal life and I'm trying to implement it into my business as well, just to like simplify. I told him, I was like, if you don't like putting it away, then I'm going to get rid of it. And then no one has to put it away because it's not here.
Right.
That was my whole, and they were like bug-eyed about it. And I was like, I'm not kidding. I will take it all out of here. If you don't want to clean it up, I don't want to clean it up either because I didn't do it.
Right. I think there were twice that I did that to my daughter because, I mean, it was a mess. It was a big mess. And I had always told her, you're done playing with that, put it away before you take out something else so that you don't have this big mess. But they're kids, you know? And she was old enough to know better. It sounds like she was 2 years old.
Yeah. Let me say, I said this to the 8 and 9-year-old, 10-year-olds.
Gotcha.
Like, they were old enough to know. I didn't
right, exactly.
spar a toddler.
No, when she was little, I used to help her clean up.
Gotcha.
It's like, I'll help you clean up, but you have to clean too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing it up by myself. I didn't make the mess. These are my toys. I don't play with them. But anyway, I brought this up because that was something I really had to keep an eye on, was the toys. We got 4 kids, basically 2 bedrooms, and then this other section. So it's like, I would go through their toys. Is it broken? That's when containers became my best friend. Like my boys had all like these little figurines.
Mm-hmm.
All those went and they had animals and stuff. But because we didn't have a whole lot of space, I had to become very creative with the way that I stored and organized things. So that was how that started.
I think that might be a great segue into ending the episode is how, with the creativity of getting organized, because I think most of us are like Sarah and I and you, where we're a parent and a business owner. We have things pulling us in different directions. If we're even more crazy and want to have 3 businesses, you have to be even more creative of keeping all of that together. Because I think about doing stuff like that all the time. And then I'm like, I can't. Because I worked a full-time job, grew my business, and had all the mom duties when I was a single parent. So, like, I had to get creative too. I didn't sleep a lot, and that was my creativity, was I just chose not to sleep. But what creative solutions would you recommend for entrepreneurs who are in that, like, balancing act phase right now?
Well, before you came on, Sarah and I were talking that I've actually have been in business for myself since the 90s. And that's when my kids were born. But then it wasn't my business. I was working for multi-level marketing businesses. Osborne Books and a felt company. The perks were great for me because I homeschooled my kids. But I don't know how I did it. I just did it. You know, I told Sarah, I said, we would have meetings. There wasn't Zoom back then. I think we were just typing. And I remember going to these meetings. I'm nursing my youngest son while I'm sitting in this meeting and talking to these people. I don't think that some people can necessarily be taught these things. It's kind of like you do it or you don't. I really shouldn't say that because everybody can learn. But I think with some people, it takes a longer time period and they need somebody there to coach them just so that they can be encouraged to develop new habits and new ways of doing things. Because change is inevitable, but at the same time, some people have a real hard time with change. Other people welcome change. You know, we're all different. We're all not created the same. So I don't think there's just one solution for everybody when we're so different.
That's when I tell people that I work with, that I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to give you the tools and different ways depending on who you are and what you do, like you said, because everybody's different in how they work. Because I feel as there's so many different types of like coaches or business owners out there that are like, it's this way. It has to be this way or it's just not going to work. No, it's dependent on the person that you're working with. That's how I feel.
Well, I always say there's more than one way to iron a shirt.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I work with clients. I love HoneyBook for my CRM and I love ClickUp for my project management tool. But when they're overwhelmed with their workflows and systems, I ask what they're currently using. And if they like this platform itself, I never recommend that they change it. We just like refresh or reframe what they're doing in that current system to kind of, I don't know, that helps squash the overwhelm, I guess.
Well, and then with me, when I'm helping people to declutter and organize, I ask them, what's going to work for you? This one client, we were working in her bathroom and she had all this stuff. And again, I love containers. So I suggested to her, I said, do you think that if you had some containers in here, it would make things easier for your husband? He's got a beard and he had all those beard stuff that he was just taking out, leaving on the counter and whatnot. And I said, do you think it would be easier for him if we just put everything into a container? This way he just takes the container out, gets what he wants, and then sticks the container back in. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's a brilliant idea. So it's not me saying, hey, this is what you should do. It's me making a suggestion. Well, what do you think about this? And then let them decide if they like it or not. Because I don't know what's right for them. Only they do. I can only make suggestions.
So if anyone's interested in working with you in any business with which you own, what's the best way to connect?
Either one of my websites, heavenlybodieswellness.com or try Parish Decluttering Services.com. We have a blog up there, like Sarah had said, so you get that. I also have a checklist that you can go ahead and you can grab where it's just got 7 things for decluttering. So you can just go ahead and pick one. And it's basically kind of set up like the way that we were just talking, how it's just suggested things to do. There's 7 of them. So you could just go ahead and be, whatever you're in the mood to do. Oh, I'm in the mood to do that one today. Okay, well then go ahead and do that one today. And one thing you have to say about the web address is a try parish. There's a hyphen between the try and parish, which I probably should have left out. It would have been easier, but
we'll put all the information in the show notes for everybody to check out so they can see the links and where to find you.
And there's also a couple of freebies on Heavenly Bodies Wellness. There's one for a checklist for holistic living, where again, there's suggestions.
Ooh.
She's liking that one.
I'm going to check that one out for myself.
That's a freebie. The other one that's freebie is for people dealing with broken heart in any aspect. So it could be from a loss of a loved one or any type of relationship. And then I have another one on there that's actually you pay for it. I think it's like $9 that has different skincare ingredients. And I gave you suggestions for how to use them. So that's there too.
Oh, perfect. We'll make sure to have all of that linked in the show notes and put it on our newsletter when we send it out for you.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joyce, for being on the show with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode. Remember, soft skills aren't just some fluffy buzzwords that get thrown around in the corporate world. They're the key to unlocking your full potential as a professional and a human being. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself and seek out opportunities to improve your soft skills. Sarah and I have a variety of workshops, online courses, and complimentary clarity calls for you to practice in real time with us. Links are always in the show notes. And be sure to join us next time for more insights, tips, and tricks to help you succeed in your entrepreneur encounter.